Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to RVD Radio.
Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Been assassinator! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! A damn got straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! You get down to straight to your brain! Straight to your skull crack! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! I will fly high! 5-star Bronx Black! You can't stop me! 5-star Bronx Black! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! Drop that down! The whole fucking show! It's all about the king and the gang! The balance of power that's in! You can't stop the king and the gang! The balance of power that's in! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! I will levitate! Flip kick you in the yell! I will decimate! You can prepare for! Drop it down! The whole fucking show! 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 Drop it down! The whole fucking show!
Indeed. Happy January 17th, everybody, 2013. The world didn't end, at least not for us. We're still here, and glad to be. And so, fuck it, let's do another radio show. Haven't done one in a while. I guess I open every RVD radio show now with saying, haven't done one in a while. You probably have noticed that. I'm just now making myself aware. But anyway, that's the way it goes. I don't know that we're going to sync up into any kind of faster routine in the near future. Got some busy times ahead. This Friday I'll be in Orlando. I got to leave tomorrow for that to do TV. Just got back Monday from doing the same. Saturday we'll be going to the UK. That's spelled UK. I don't know where all we're going. England, Ireland, Scotland, places like that. So I'm not a stranger to those parts, but I have a lot of fans there. Looking forward to seeing them, and it's cool that I will be going as the X Division champion. Hopefully that means I'll have some exciting matches, but I always do. You know that. All right, fuck it. We're doing the show today to talk about guns. There's so much of this on TV right now, and I don't usually jump on the bandwagon, so to speak, But come on, man, it's on our minds. I think I even said, no, I know that I even said when we did do our last show, I said, fuck, if we do another show, we're going to have to do it on guns because there's all this craziness going on, all these shootings and shit. And it's crazy. And a few weeks later, even more craziness. And everyone's talking about it. Fuck, so are we. We got introduced to a new idea from President Obama today that he's going to try to get across, I guess, as an executive order. He is mandating part of it, and then he has to get approval from council for the other part. As always, I'm no expert on the subject we're talking about, but I have seen it all over the news. You know, he's calling for to outlaw certain weapons. Nobody, until we hear otherwise anyway from this conversation, but it appears, from my perspective and the president's, that nobody needs like body armor piercing weapons. Nobody needs to hunt with automatic machine guns, and so certain guns are being banned. I think the other side of the argument is, what's the difference? We know how to reload if you give us a gun that only shoots 7 bullets. Yeah, I'm not a gun person myself, meaning I'm not pro-gun, but I do understand times are crazy right now. It's not the time to ask people to hand their guns in. What is the third thing? We'll have to get that. The third thing that's on President Obama's, what he's propositioning. It's background checks, I believe, and unfortunately I'm not an expert on that, but fuck yeah, you should have to have a background check. It's a machine that makes you capable of taking a life just by squeezing your trigger, your finger. You just move your finger. You could be 6 years old and you're the baddest motherfucker on the planet with a gun. It's a very, very, very serious tool. I hear you. Guns don't kill people. People do. Really? A 6-year-old can kill me? Or is it a 6-year-old with a gun that can kill me? I know the answer to that one. And I love the debates, and I know we got some people that have opposite opinions or ones that don't quite match. We're going to talk to my police officer friend, Sergeant X. He's got quite a lot of experience with guns, both on both ends, firing them, and also being called to the scene many times with gun-related crimes and such. Also, I got a super soldier friend, Big Al. Gonna have to ask him how he wants to be introduced, because this guy's in the privatized armies that are like above the law. And he's been on the show before, not that long ago. I can't remember exactly what for, but you know, I have a feeling they're gonna say, you know, don't even think about cutting back on gun laws. I don't know. A lot of people feel like they want their right to protect themselves from the government, and I get that. I mean, why should the government be the only ones that have these extra powerful weapons if we're afraid that the government's going to take us over, which a lot of us are, and a lot of us aren't, you know, and a lot of us are more concerned about being taken out by our own people, and that's definitely a lot more what the media reports, for sure. I still remember after 9/11, like it seemed like for a minute the whole country was united. Like, this is tragic. We're all shocked and brokenhearted. We're like a team almost. Then all of a sudden, bam, bam, Washington sniper starts shooting people. Guy walks out of Home Depot, takes a bullet in the head, and dies. And I'm like, wow, this guy lived through the country's worst tragedy, and a few days later, boom, his life is over. You ever think about that? I do. I think about the end of the world that was supposed to happen a few weeks ago. We made it past it, we being myself and those of you who are listening, but not everybody, about the asshole that caused the fire, starts the fire, kills his mom, lights the place on fire with his mom in it, and then starts shooting the firemen when they arrive to put out the fire. That's a cool guy. Fucking A. I definitely feel strongly that you need to qualify to own a gun. I guess you do to some extent. I don't know. And I got to admit, I fall into a ignorant majority of people that feel comfortable that at least something's being done. I know you can tear that apart, and you should.
No, I don't think that's ignorant.
What's up, Nikki Starr? Oh, you talking to me? Nikki Starr, you talking to someone else?
I was talking to someone else. Check this out, all right? Look, first of all, you're right. You don't do enough shows, and I hate that, but whatever. Okay?
You don't do enough what?
You don't do enough shows.
Oh, I know. You said you were going to talk to me about the podcast ideas and all that, and we've just never had that conversation.
We don't, because I'm busy and you're busy. But let me just say a few things, okay?
Sure.
You'll let me, right?
Absolutely, and thanks for being on.
I love being here with you, you know that. Okay, so I actually posed a political post on Facebook, and I have like 3 pages worth of people who weren't rude, because I don't allow rudeness on my page, so they were good. And then I talked to somebody who is super wise and whose opinion I trust. He's on Facebook that I called him. And he reminded me of this, okay? First of all...
Got to tell you, you don't sound nearly as clear as you normally do, by the way.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
No.
Let me take out my headset. Hold on.
Okay.
I can put the headset.
Justin, I see you on there. I know you want your own time, so hold on a second, brother.
How's that? Better?
Way better.
Okay, all right. I hate this stupid headset. I hate them. Anyways, so I talked to this person who's a judge, and he is super smart, and he reminded me where I live. Okay, so I live in a pretty rural area, all right? And even though we have a fire station and we have 911, if personally where I live, if I called 911, it would take them about 20 minutes to get here. So what would I do in those 20 minutes? Motherfucker, I'd shoot the guy, okay? If he broke into my house, I'd shoot him. Now, I have to pull him into the house so I don't get arrested, but I would. It's not a black and white issue, okay? I would pass a background check for a weapon, and I think everybody should, and I completely support that, okay? And I also think that you should have to pass a psychological test, all right? But I don't think I do. I just do.
Sure.
Because you might not have a felony against you, but you might be a psychopath because you're planning, which is what they did in Newton. But anyways, he planned it, okay? And he never had another felony against him, and he would have passed a background check to get a weapon. But why do we need assault weapons? A human being in a home does not need an assault weapon. They don't. 10 rounds per gun is enough, all right? It is. Now, one other thing I have to say is that it doesn't matter what the president signed. There's a Republican Congress, and it'll never pass. However, I think that because it's not a black and white issue, there needs to be something done. You can't change 200 years of psychology and how America has been brought up to think that everybody should have a weapon, blah, blah, blah. To be somebody like, or to be in a place like England, you can't, okay? It's just not going to happen.
Even with all the shootings and all these senseless acts of horrific murder that are going on, we still can't consider maybe changing the way of thinking from 200 years?
No way. You don't understand where I live, okay?
Okay.
People love their weapons. Like, it's just kind of sickening, actually, if you ask me. But they're precious. They're precious. If you think of, like they just say, my precious, my precious. It's really kind of disgusting, but whatever. I don't care. It's disgusting. And it's true. Okay? Not everybody lives in a big city where I used to live. If I called 911, they'd be there in 90 seconds. Here, that's not how it is. So if somebody decided to break into my house, I would have to do something, okay? I would.
Of course.
But,
I mean, nobody would fault you for that, I don't think.
Which I'm okay with that if I have a registered weapon that I have been qualified to own and I've taken a class. You see?
Yeah, I do. I mean, that seems to be taking the issue seriously, which we need to. I mean, obviously, if you open up, people knocking on everybody's door in the neighborhood, and you find out everyone's got a gun, I suspect you're going to find out that not everyone in the neighborhood has as much common sense as Nikki Starr, and there's a lot of cuckoos that are, shooting at things they shouldn't be at and such. You know what I mean?
Now, okay, so in this rural area that I live in, there are only 16 houses on my mountain. Out of 16 houses, 15 have weapons. Guess who doesn't? Me. I don't.
Yeah. Everything's a weapon. You just don't have a...
Well, no, wait. I'll tell you what. I have used a machete before and cut somebody. I have used a cast iron skillet before and hurt someone. And I've also been held at gunpoint. And let me tell you what, okay? Like, this is something I don't talk about a lot, and I don't mind talking about it with you, but when I was held by gunpoint, if I had a weapon, I'd be dead. Okay? He was scared. I don't care. I'm not saying that every person who holds somebody up is scared, but this kid was scared. Okay? Yeah. If I'd had a weapon, he would have shot me. No matter whether he would have.
Yeah.
And so
that is a great point. A lot of people think they'd be quick draw McGraw, and they would have, if they had a gun in their pocket, a situation would be over, which isn't going to be the case. But Nikki, hang out. Thank you, and join in whenever you got a comment. But I got Justin, Officer X, and Fonzie. Thanks for calling in, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, what's that, Nikki?
Oh, I see Officer X, but is 714 Justin?
Yeah, and I'm going to let him through. He's asked for his own time to not be stomped on and interrupted, so I want to give him a couple minutes before I let everyone else in, because I know his view is out there. What up, JMC?
What up, RVD? How you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. Go ahead and say your perspectives so everyone else can be fired up and call in after you.
Well,
Fonzie and Officer X are on hold, too.
I can't wait to hear their perspectives. I liked hearing Nikki's perspective. It seemed a little bit, contradictive in some aspects. She can use a machete to hurt somebody or a frying pan to hurt somebody. She's been held under gunpoint, but she didn't want one to protect herself. And those are all her feelings and her opinions, and I got to validate that, and I got to back that, because those are her experiences. But I'll also speak from my own experience. I have been held under gunpoint. I have had my house shot at. I don't own guns. I've shot them at the range. I know millions and millions and millions of people around the world today that have guns in their hands, in their homes, and they're not choosing to use them in adverse ways. I also know plenty of stories out there, many, many stories that are not being told about guns saving the day and taking out people that are shooting people. One particular case happened in Houston, an off-duty female officer, just a week after Newton, Connecticut. A man came and was hunting down his ex-girlfriend and was on a rampage shooting people. And off-duty police officer, female police officer, brandished her weapon and took the guy out, and there's been other scenarios where guys have just had to brandish the weapon and hold the guy under gunpoint, and he folded and he quit. And, and they're using a lot of these cases, the Sandy Hook and in Aurora, Colorado. People need to look in a little bit further at these cases. These people, the story was written before the thing ever happened. These stories come out on the news, and it's all cut and dry. They have the facts. They have everything going right away. That's a little bit premature. Usually in this case, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. There has to be an investigation. The media isn't instantly informed on what's happening and what's going on. Those things are kept, under police arrest and police views until people can find out exactly what had happened there. And it was just all a little bit premature, you know what I mean? So I think when we're talking about some of the facts about who Adam Lanza is and who James Holmes is, I think if you look a little bit deeper into this, you're going to understand who their fathers were investigating, who their fathers were going to testify against in a court of law in some of the biggest cases in the history of the world. I'm talking about the Leiter Group. The Leiter Group is a banking group that walked away from paying taxes on $14.2 billion. Adam Lanza's father and James Holmes' father were the two key witnesses in the case to testify against them. Next thing you know, they're framed for the biggest mass murders in the history of the United States. It's become a platform for this administration to push their gun control. And you talked about people having psychological background tests, people having mental evaluations. Well, all that's going to do is going to destroy the doctor-client privilege. And so they'll be able to look into your medical records, they'll be able to look into your history, your past, and everything about you, and be able to deem you a psychopath or just get some information that could cost you money, that could give them an ability to look into your life just a little bit further than you would want them to. And I think our freedom and everything that's been set up in this country was set up for a good reason. I mean, we did this to protect against tyranny, and what tyranny is a government that tells you what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, and that's what's happening now. And they're forcing this down our throat. They're not asking us what we want. They're telling us what we're going to do. They're taking away our guns. And I'll tell you, there's no difference between a 10-round clip and a 15-round clip. It only takes one bullet to kill somebody. And out of the millions and millions of people that own banana clips and whatever kind of clips that choose not to use them and just keep them for whatever it is, they're hobbyists. They like to go out and shoot targets. They like to go out and shoot whatever it is. They're hunters. They like it for protection, just in case scenarios where someone's going to invade your home and perhaps they have the firepower that's superior to you, then you're going to need a little bit extra assistance. And to wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes for the law enforcement to show up and come to your home may be long enough for you to die, okay? And so our constitutional rights were set up, and it wasn't that long ago. You're saying 200 years. 200 years isn't that long. I mean, you're talking about 4 generations, right? So that's your great-great-grandparents, pretty much. So
how many states did we have 200 years ago?
Say again?
I mean, it was a different time. When the country was like first, being discovered by the British for their time.
No. People were just settling in Philadelphia. That Constitution was written to get ourselves out from underneath the tyranny of the Redcoats, of the British. We had just fought a massive war to kick them out of our society because they were taxing us, they were taking our banks down, and they were doing the same thing to us that we escaped England for. I mean, people left England, went to Holland, built a boat called the Mayflower, sailed it all the way across dangerous, uncharted seas to come to Plymouth Rock to start this way of life for everybody to have freedom. And then what happened? The British followed us over here. The French followed us over here. They saw the natural resources. They saw everything they could gain by coming here and following those people here and enslaving them one more time financially and under the crown, And so what did we do? We fought tooth and nail. We put our lives on the line, and we kicked their ass out of here. And we wrote a perfect document, a document that says we the people have the power to do what we wish and to take our government over at any time they're being tyrannical. And what is happening right now? They're being tyrannical. I mean, this isn't. I think that 10 bullets is enough, or it doesn't matter what you think. That's your opinion, and I love it, and I'll validate it, and that's great. You only want 10 bullets, you can have 10 bullets. But guess what? I want 15 bullets, so I'm going to have 15 bullets because that's my right as a citizen of the United States of America. Now, when you're talking about banning certain things, changing the Constitution, once you open up that document and you rewrite one little piece of it, it's going to make a flood. It's going to have a landslide, and it's going to have a really, really bad effect. Now, is there things that this president could be talking about other than gun control and banning guns? Are there more serious situations going on in this country right now than trying to decide whether or not you should have 15 bullets or 10 bullets? I would say so. I'd say there's some people out there that genuinely need some help. You know, and I mean, what? We just had a housing crisis. They just printed $14 trillion between 2009 and today, and gave it away to foreign countries. They gave it to everybody. They gave it to the companies that backed Obama's campaigns. They gave it away to everybody except you, me, and everybody who needed it. And that's not what it was for. It was for us, to help us get over this hard time where people were losing their homes. In America, when you bought a home, that was your savings. That was what your family depended on. That was your nest egg. That was your equity in the world. That was everything to you. You could borrow against that. You could negotiate with the bank to have more leverage and power to send your kids to school, to college, buy them cars, to do whatever you want. That was your nest egg and your savings. And when it usually, went over, a 30-year note, something like that. You paid the thing off. It was in your family. You could hand it down, and then your family was able to amass wealth. And that's being taken away. Why isn't he fixing that? Why isn't he putting more power in the hands of the people? And when you talk about taking guns away, what is it good for? I mean, really. I mean, the people that are going to use them are the criminals. The people that are going to use them are the bad guys and the guys that have the balls to pull out a gun and shoot somebody. And that's not everybody, RVD. Not everybody has the guts. I don't. I'm not going to take a gun out and shoot somebody. And I'm a bad man. I prefer to protect myself with my hands. I'm a lethal weapon without a gun. But if I was coming for you and I was going to kill you and kick your ass with my hands and whatever, and you had a gun, that's an equalizer, so it keeps things equal. And so I don't see...
Yeah, all right, well, listen, I mean, you've obviously said, way too much to pick apart and to comment on all the different points, and it's... And appreciate that, but let me welcome on somebody that does actually. I'm going to have Fonzie help me welcome on. Let's welcome on Fonzie first. He's returned to RVD Radio after fucking forever. What up, Fonzie, Daddy?
Hey, Daddy. Everything's fucking sweet, brother.
Awesome, man. Long time no here. Thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Yep.
Everything cool?
Thanks for having me. Hey, the last guy who talked on the radio said a mouthful. I mean,
that was Justin. You know Justin, and this is a fucking smoking hot topic.
What up, Fonzie Daddy? What up, Fonzie Daddy? What you doing, baby? I miss you.
I love Justin.
Yeah,
I love you too, Fonz. What's happening? Hey, so I don't want to,
Hold on, Justin. Hold on now. Hold on a second if you can, because I got somebody that's been waiting for a while too, and you talk about back in the day when we were fighting to get our freedom from the British tyranny and such. And my next guest is currently still fighting the same cause. He goes over there with guns and destroys the enemy. Works for different privatized armies, and I don't know. Is that a good enough way to introduce you, Big Al?
I'm a security contractor that works overseas. I wouldn't call it privatized armies, but we work for our government under contract.
Okay, and that makes you above the law because you're contracted out, so to say. I mean, that's the whole...
Absolutely not.
True.
We have more rules and regs to follow than the military does.
Interesting. Okay, so that's.
I thought you guys had a little bit more leeway so you could get some more things done, and that's why they were kind of hiring you guys out. That's just media talk, things that we've heard through the media sources, but we know how dependable they are.
Yeah, it's simply not true. We are scrutinized over there, and Iraq, now that Iraq is a completely different animal, there's a whole new set of rules there with the amount of armament we can actually carry on us. In Afghanistan, Karzai himself dictates what we can use. Anybody working a DOD or a State Department contract typically are issued, like M4s, AR-15s, and on the private contracts under private entities, we have to use AKs. We're not allowed to use anything that the bad guys don't have.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question that pops right into my head right off the bat. What's your opinion, Al, on people that are not fighting the enemy but are wanting to feel safe in their own home or hunting or whatever? Do they need to have these semi-automatic? I don't even know the proper terminology, but do they really need to have these, armor-piercing guns? And like Justin said, he says, you might want 7 bullets, I want 10, 11, 12, whatever. Does he have an argument in saying it's all, in your opinion, is that like all, should that be for everybody?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, I agree with a lot what Justin said. His nomenclature is a little bit off, but across the board, I think he's correct. It's written in our Second Amendment. It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs. Okay, it's not a matter of whether we need it or not. It's the Bill of Rights. We have the right. Do you need a car that travels 140 miles an hour when the speed limit is 70? No, you don't. Okay, but we have the right to own that. All right. And ultimately, any of these semi-automatic firearms, whether it be a handgun or a rifle, such as an AR or an AK type rifle, okay, I don't want to call them quote unquote the assault rifles because that's not what they are. You can obtain fully automatic quote unquote assault type rifles, but they're extremely expensive, $15,000 to $20,000 for a fully automatic AR or AK, and they take a long time. You have to go through a completely different set of paperwork, and it takes months to get back, whether you're approved or not. So yes, I believe it. Okay, as far as there was just within the last couple of weeks, there was a woman, this was actually last week, there was a woman in the Atlanta area and shot a man in a home invader 5 times in the neck and face area at point-blank range with a .38. Now, it was a 6-round revolver. She hit him 5 times. He then left the home and drove away. Okay? If there would have been 2 attackers, her and her 2 little girls would be dead right now and not able to speak of it.
Correct.
And would her having a gun be a factor in that?
Well,
absolutely.
If she didn't have that gun at that point, they would be dead at this point. He got shot. He got shot and kept coming.
Say she had a couple more bullets, and the guy might not have made it away, and she may have put him down, and then nobody would have to worry about that asshole ever coming to their house, But unfortunately, the guy lived, and these aren't people that we want in our society. These guys are the people that will come for you, for your children, for all your belongings. And if things ever do pop off and go weird, and we have some sort of anarchy in this society, then those are the people that are gonna really be the threat. And the good people aren't going to be able to defend themselves. And when you see the cartels and you see these criminals and they have fully automatic weapons and semi-automatic weapons and more firepower than sometimes some police departments have, then we're in trouble. And it's up to the people to stay armed, to stay ready, and to protect themselves. And I think every country out there knows that if you come to the United States and you want to invade the United States, you're going to have a big problem on your hands with the civilians, not only the military and all the other defense mechanisms that we paid big tax dollars for, that we paid for, but also the people here are willing to defend themselves and armed. And the more we take that away, the less bold we'll be, the less confidence we'll have. And if you talk about tyranny from the government, if they have more guns and more firepower than we do, even though we bought and paid for it, and they want to turn those guns on us at any time, how is that right? How can we put ourselves in a position where we made the government, we made all the police forces and everybody else so superior to ourselves that at any time we get a leader in there that's bananas and wants to turn those guns on us, then we're gonna have a slaughterhouse. I mean, we're just gonna get decimated.
Justin, do we want to be equal with our police force? Fonzie, help me out on this one. Tell me your opinion.
100%.
Isn't the police force supposed to be something put together with to protect us?
100% we do, RVD. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, we should be protected. I mean, but there's a couple bad apples out there. Those are the ones we got to watch out for. But we never know when they're going to strike, RVD. Like the guy who killed all those kids, man. Terrible thing, worst thing that ever happened. We don't know when that's going to happen. It only happens once in a while, but it's happening more and more. The guy.
So I'm sorry to interrupt, but so do you think, Fonzie, that we'll be safer if like everybody has a gun and waiting for it to happen?
Everybody does have a gun, and we all got.
But not in those zones, RVD, because those were gun-free zones, RVD. Aurora, Colorado, that movie theater, and the Sandy Hook Elementary School, those are gun-free zones.
I get that. They're breaking law. You're saying that they're breaking laws anyway, so the laws aren't working, but we're also saying our tougher laws or enforcing the laws that are already there an answer as opposed to going the other way and saying...
Well, and beyond that, it proves that response times aren't good enough. The response times from the police department or from whoever's coming for you to help you. I mean, that poor teacher who threw herself over her kid was waiting for somebody to come and save the day. And guess what? Nobody came, and she didn't have the ability to protect herself. And there was nobody within arm's reach that they could grab and say, hey, take this motherfucker out. You know, and that's the problem. That's a big fucking problem.
RVD, the response times are fucking good, are quick. I don't see how they can be any quicker. I mean, if there's something happening, the cops are there in minutes. So
wait a minute now. Okay,
maybe
minutes equals live. Okay, cops are reactionary. They get there after the call is made. They're like firemen. Firemen are basement savers. By the time a fireman shows up, your house is already burnt down. Cops are there to tape off the scene. There is very, very few times where a cop actually arrives in time to stop an assault. The home invasions and carjackings are growing astronomically across the country. Okay, by the time
1 minute,
it happens in seconds. Okay, they can clear a house. Bad guys can clear a house in less than 60 seconds and kill everyone inside the house if they choose to. Okay, if you get a chance to make the 911 call by then.
My point to that is that most people, if they were carrying a gun, wouldn't have time to reach in and do the quick draw and shoot it by the time someone that has the element of surprise is up on their ass anyway. So I don't understand that false sense of security. I look at the gun as...
Stop. You're missing what I said, okay? I live 15 to 20 minutes away from 911.
Okay.
I must have a weapon.
Oh, if only officer.
Also, what Nikki Starr said too is she's got 15 houses up on the hill with her, and everybody's got weapons and guns. But I don't think any one of those people are out in the streets killing people. You know, they're out doing their thing.
Hell no, they're not. They're fabulous.
And I want to pose just one question. I just want to pose one question to the professional on this line, the man who's actually a trained combatant, somebody who knows firearms better than anybody else on this line.
Right.
Is it possible for a 20-year-old kid to take two handguns that would need to be reclipped and to walk through first kill his mom and then walk through a school and kill 28 or 30 more people without flinching, without missing, and do it executioner style? Is that someone who is trained, or is that some video playing game kid?
That's a kid.
Well, listen, you have to understand, I actually spoke to an officer who lives right outside that area, and from what he said, there was not an AR-15 used. There were 4 handguns found in the school, not a rifle. Okay.
So a kid had 4 guns on him, 4 different handguns. Where did he hold them? How did he do that? That would take a master, right? I mean, am I wrong?
Well, you have 2 hands, okay, you have 1 in each hand. When one goes empty, you drop it and you pick up another one. At that point...
You're saying that this kid was an ambidextrous shot and he could shoot with his left hand too? That's pretty tough. I mean, a 20-year-old with no military or police or law enforcement training, somebody, a 20-year-old kid that good?
Justin, they were static targets. Okay, when you walk up to something, you don't have to aim when you walk up to them and put a gun to their head.
Well, I think
they're a static target. You walk up to a
balloon
balloon and you pull the trigger on a balloon, it's gonna pop off.
Granted, but I think you're maybe missing my point. He went room to room, person to person, and walked right up to them. It takes a pretty hard person to kill somebody in the first place, but to walk up to a bunch of kids and start shooting them in the face, I think that's a little bit much for anybody to handle, let alone a 20-year-old kid.
Wait a minute. Okay, for one.
Okay, but he didn't go room to room. He went to one specific room with his mother.
Maybe that's a different incident. I'm not even sure we're all on the same thing. But either way, why question whether the guy could take seeing someone's face blow up? Definitely he could take it. Otherwise, the very first shot, I can't even imagine after the first shot, whether you're talking about the adults or the kids or whatever, especially the kids, I can't imagine if I pulled the trigger and watched somebody's face blow up, I can't imagine, like, continuing on. I can't imagine that just not changing me forever into a fucking mortified zombie.
Well,
exactly.
we would never know because he killed himself.
I think it takes a trained professional. I really do. And I don't think that we're getting all the facts. And I think there was more to that situation than meets the eye. You need to look into who Adam Lanza's father was. You need to look into who James Holmes' father was. And you need to do some homework on why those kids were framed for the two biggest murders. There's no mistake that both their fathers were scheduled to testify in a massive lawsuit.
They were scheduled to testify in the LIBOR scandal, the banking scandal, in front of Congress the next day.
Correct.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Okay.
So is that coincidental? Could that be coincidental?
Listen, I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm not going to get into conspiracy theory here. I want to speak about the facts.
That's a fact.
Okay, yes, I'm aware of that, but it's part of a conspiracy theory. My point is I'm not going to speak of it. I'm here to speak about the facts and my knowledge with weapons and tactics and our Constitution.
Me too. And you know what? And those are two examples that are being used by this administration to impose this unbelievably disgusting act on everyone, to put the nation in disarray and to make everybody stand up and want to shake their fists at the TV. You got half the people on the left looking at CNN and Piers Morgan, some British journalist, telling them how to act, telling them how to be. He's British. Why does he have a say-so? You have the right-wingers looking at Neil Cavuto and whoever else, on the right, making everybody pissed off, and we're standing divided as a nation. United we stand, divided we fall. So what's the motive behind putting this on the platform right now? I think there's much more intelligent subjects that our president could be picking for his time in office than to disrupt the nation and to have everybody up in arms like this.
Well, there is, and there has been for the last 4 years to begin with. But these are subjects right now. When 20 children are brutally murdered, it's going to affect everyone. Everyone is involved. Everyone is passionate about it. Nobody, even the people on the gun side, are. It was a tragedy. There's nothing else to say. Even everybody felt it. Whether you have children or not, doesn't matter how old you are, everybody felt it, okay? But that's not the point. There are over 90 million gun owners in the country right now, over 300 million guns already on the streets. The president could abolish the Second Amendment tomorrow and say we're collecting every gun the day after tomorrow. You will never get all of the guns. The only problem is, and I know this for a fact because I work with a lot of people from Australia, from the UK, and all over Europe, okay? And these are quote-unquote, gun-free nations, all right? I chatted with a mate of mine in the UK a couple weeks ago. There was just 2 policemen in the UK murdered. They were called out on a false call, and they were shot. They were shot in the head. Okay. Now the UK has been gun-free for 20 years. Okay, but they were shot in the head. You will never get all of the guns. You are only going to disarm the people trying to protect themselves.
But you don't want to put more guns out there. That's not the answer, right?
I'm sorry?
No, but there isn't
That
more out
doesn't
there.
mean
What's
more
happening now
guns
is
out there in this society.
what's happening
I
now,
don't think
though, is there's a mass buy of guns and ammunition. I mean, Homeland Security just spent $1.7 billion on guns and ammunition, trying to take them out of the hands of the people. I mean, look at what's going on. I was just at the SHOT Show in Vegas today, where you have an influx of hundreds of thousands of people going to these gun shows, buying up as much as they can. So all that's happening by this is people are arming themselves deeper and further. And if you
Wait
want
a minute.
Let me just make this point real quick. Let me just make this point real quick. When you talk about what you heard from your cop buddy who said there was 4 guns on the police, I talked to a Metro cop today who said there was 2 guns on the scene in Sandy Hook. I've heard it from the news that there was an AR-15. So I don't know what the facts are, and I don't know if your buddy's telling the truth, my buddy's telling the truth, the media's telling the truth, but I sure would like to know. And I think everybody has a right to know. And until we do know that truth, we're all sitting in the dark wondering what's going on, speculating on the truth. And there's a bunch of kids that got murdered. That could be your kid. That could be my kid. And the truth better come out to the American people. That needs to happen.
Well, okay. Hey, let me throw this out there. And by the way, they did something here in LA, a gun drive or whatever the fuck they call it, where the police try to buy back the guns from the people, and like over the weekend I think they got 13 guns turned in. I get it. You don't want to fucking disarm yourself. It's a scary, scary time, and the more homeless people there are, the more fucked up people are because of the economy, the more desperate they get. So I get it. I understand where it's going, and it's scary. But let me ask you guys this. Sonia grew up in a school where there was a police officer all fucking day long. Not only was there his presence there, but there was like a community acknowledgement of this is, not someone to be scared of, like, oh no, 5-0, but instead, he's there as protection and a good role model kind of position.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I don't want my daughters to be I don't want that show of force and that show of power and that oppression to be in their lives. I don't want them to have to worry about that. If there's an unmarked car, if there's an unmarked officer, if there's somebody, that was trained that would sit in the office during the day in case something had happened, then that's something there, but I don't think it should be in the kids of the face. I think they should have their jovial, fun, happy lives, and once we start doing that, we're no different than Africa or some third world nation. It's going backwards at that point. What the Constitution is about is freedom.
I completely disagree with you.
Well, I'll tell you this, man. I'll tell you this, because I don't know about you, but my daughter's school, there's 20-foot tall fences around it, and I was there volunteering as a watchdog, and what a watchdog is dads that come to watch the campus for the kids, and every school should have that program, because then we're taking the responsibility for our own children, and we're not taking tax dollars and a bureaucratic system and putting some cost there and paying them overtime. We're doing the right thing, and we're protecting our own. And we're not
okay, well, let me ask you this. There were organizations.
Hang on, let me finish real quick.
All right, hey, Justin, let somebody else speak for a change.
Let me finish real quick, because the 20-foot fences were put there because across the street in the apartment buildings, pedophiles lived there. There was 2 pedophiles that were proven to live there, and so they put up a bunch of fences. Well, my reaction to that is, well, let's take the fucking fences down so the kids aren't fenced in and feel like they're in a cage and feel like they're locked into a prison that's called school, and let's go get those child molesters and do what's right. So when are we going to take the power back? When are we going to stop being oppressed and locked up and put under lock and key and guarded by officers and guns? This has gone way too far, way too far.
Well, we don't live in that society anymore. We don't live in a society anymore where you can leave. Justin, why don't you shut the fuck up for a minute and let someone else speak?
It'll only be changed if you allow it to be changed.
Okay, Justin, let's hear from Big Al. He's got something to say here, and thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a prime example. After the Sandy Hook shooting, all right, there's a Jewish community on the East Coast. All right, it's an all-Jewish community. Now, they know the situation they have to deal with the Teletubbies, okay? This has been going on for many, many years for them, not just recently.
The Teletubbies?
The Taliban.
Oh, okay.
Taliban and Al-Qaeda, okay?
Okay.
All right. They have an armed father with a pistol and an AR in every classroom every day. Every father of the children in the school, they have to take time off every month from their jobs to do this. Now, they're all trained with the weapons, okay? And to me, that is the best idea there is. Listen, we did a pistol course. I did a pistol course this past Saturday down in Brunswick, Rob. Okay, and there were 7 students in the class. At the end of the day, this was a basic pistol course for them. At the end of the day, they shot the Georgia police course, the same course that our cops here shoot. All right. At the end of one 8-hour block of instruction, they all passed it. Now, our police get 5 days of range time to be able to pass it, and they all don't pass it on the first try. Okay. Everybody, for one, there's 97% of police across the country do not train on their own. Every agency out there, they only have to qualify. Our agency here in Savannah qualifies twice a year, every 6 months, okay? So most agencies, it's twice a year or once a year because of cost, intuitive to them. All right, most cops cannot shoot. They are the worst. All right, only 3% of cops actually take it upon their own to go out and either seek formal training on their own or shoot on their own to get more efficient.
Okay, I have a officer that was on hold, and he had to go because he said a prisoner came in. So if he calls back, we'll ask him. Otherwise, I'll ask him. I have a feeling he's going to agree with you. He's not here, but I do got to take this call from George from New York, and he's been on hold forever, for like 45 minutes. And
maybe he's got the answer. Maybe he's got the answer that we're all looking for. What is the answer? How can we stop this fucking violence? Like China, fucking somebody does something bad and shoots him in the fucking head and send the bill for the bullet to the to the guy's family. You know, look at Japan, Rob. We never have no trouble in Japan. Fucking nobody does nothing in Japan.
Oh, they didn't used to. Now they're fucking. We fucked them up and we dirtied them up. George from New York, I know you got something important to say, man. Thanks for holding. You got Justin McCully, MMA fighter, and Big Al from Georgia, Fonzie, and everyone in the whole world listening. What's up?
All right, fellas, first of all, thanks, Rob, for taking the call. And always a pleasure to have you here on BTR, and I hope you come back more often. Guys, look, this issue is a lot larger than most people are realizing. What's happening in our nation right now is there's a knee-jerk reaction being done by politicians everywhere. Here in New York alone, they just passed one of the toughest gun control laws in the state's history. That includes and not limited to requiring therapists to inform the state if a mentally ill patient says anything regarding a threat with any kind of firearm. And that's just a small part of it. The fines have been increased exponentially. The jail times have been increased exponentially. But you know what? Here's what the politicians and everybody around is forgetting. What they have forgotten, and by the way, I served in the wake of 9/11. My ass is a target.
Okay.
I am a target by Al Qaeda, along with a whole bunch of other soldiers. We are targets still, even though we're civilians. And I don't own a gun. Okay? But I want to protect myself, so I will end up having to get a gun at the behest of my old CO. But here's the thing.
Thank you, by the way. Thank you for your service and protecting our country and everything that you've done. Thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Well, guess what? I got news for you. I'm going back because I need to do this. Not for me, but for my country. For the people in this country that need guys like me to stand on that wall and say, enough is a fucking enough. What the politicians and everybody, Rob, is forgetting is out on our streets, nationwide, there are people selling illegal firearms all up and down the board at all ungodly hours of the night. People that can get their hands on Uzis, MAC-10s, AR-15s, AK-47s, 9mm, you name it. They can get their hands on every single thing that all these gun control laws they're attempting to put away with. Well, guess what? It's not going to happen. Because if the criminal wants it bad enough, there's an illegal arms dealer out there willing to sell it, and at a hefty price. But they're willing to sell it, and if the criminals have the money, they'll get their hands on it. So here's where I have a problem with all this gun control stuff. You're tying the hands of the American people, okay, by making more and more stiff gun laws. What it says in the Constitution under the Second Amendment is the one part that people seem to forget most often, including the politicians. It states, yes, it says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Yeah, I won't deny that. But what it also says is the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What that means is, simply put, okay, fine, you want to put an assault weapons ban out there? Fine. They're talking semi-automatic. Semi-automatic can be a rifle or a handgun. And you know what? If you're going to do an assault weapons ban and specify semi-automatic, you best be prepared to take all the semi-automatic pistols out of people's hands. When you do that, it's going to create a problem nationwide. People are going to be going out and doing exactly what I just spoke of, going and getting illegal firearms. The people who want things legal, like me, yeah, I'll go and get my permit tomorrow. It's not a problem. I have no problem doing the background check, the psychiatric evaluation. I'm as nutty as a fruitcake anyway. I was an NCO. I say that jokingly, but, you know.
Okay. All right, well, listen. I mean, this is all, very informative, you know, and I'm sure the other guys have, you know, strong opinions on this, but one thing that comes to mind, I got big L, big fighter, you know, big special soldier, you know, fighting machine. I got, you know, Fonzie, wrestling manager. I got Justin McCully, MMA fighter. I got you, soldier, fighter. Okay, what about the people that don't have that warrior mentality that we do, that says, hey, fuck with us, we're the Spartans, we want a reputation that says we can kill everybody? What about the other people that are family that want to be protected and don't want to be the ones that are gonna go out there and pull the child molesters out the window by their fucking hair? What about those? I mean, how do we protect them?
We're their neighbors, RVD, and we'll protect them, and we'll do what's right. And as American citizens and as a good neighbor, just like it says to be a good neighbor, love thy neighbor, then we protect them. That's what we're here for. I mean, you can't expect the sheep to do the unthinkable, to do what they won't do. You have to protect them, Jews, Gentiles, and all alike, you know, and that's what this country was made for, and that's what it stands for. And
yeah, you're absolutely correct.
If the tyranny comes, and say we have something like Nazi Germany all over again, and it happens right here on our own soil, those people will be begging for the opportunity to be armed and begging for someone like us to come and protect them. So we have to have the foresight for them, and we have to make sure that if that day comes, we are prepared, and that's the bottom line.
Well, here's the thing. That's why when I signed up in March of 2001. My aim was to protect the people of my country, to protect the family and friends, to protect people from enemies outside or inside this country that would seek to hurt us. The problem is the government takes even guys like me, they make us the bad guys. When we annex out, we're made bad guys. For what reason? I don't know. But here's something to consider too. Look at what happened with the New York newspaper, the Journal News. Okay, I live in Dutchess County, New York, all right? I know that newspaper down in White Plains. What they did by outing all the legal gun owners in Westchester and Rockland counties,
they made them targets.
Made them targets and their neighbors who aren't on the list. Because what happens is that interactive map, which is still on their website, created a serious problem. One homeowner has already had his home broken into as a direct result of that happening. And I made a prediction on my own radio show that this would not be the end of it. It's going to keep happening. We can't have a knee-jerk reaction every time something terrible happens. Yes, we got to protect the children. We got to protect ourselves. But here's the problem: by having a knee-jerk reaction, we create more problems than we cure.
Okay, George, by the way, that guy agreeing with you about the target, that's Officer X. He just slid in before the door closed. We're going past the hour so right now that just means that this is still, it's not live, but it'll go into the archive. Most people listen to this later anyway because, we just threw this together a few hours ago. But anyway, I had to let these callers on, otherwise they can't get on past 1 minute ago. So tap ass, you're on, but shut your mouth, please. And Officer X, I know you had to go take care of a prisoner. Man, you have missed a hell of a show. And we were talking about police, and let me tell you right now, you got Fonzie's back on. Say hi to Fonzie, Justin McCully.
I'm glad you made it back, brother.
By the way,
Nikki Starr's with us, George from New York, my friend Big Al, who is in the, how did you describe your army? It's not privatized army, it's security.
I'm a security contractor.
Yeah, and anyway, you've been on the show before, but... And anyway, Officer X, you missed a hell of a show, but I know that you've heard enough to I know you want to chime in and give your opinion. And I got to know first, is it true that most police officers can't shoot a gun? I mean, they can't aim?
There's some. I mean, it's some are good. I mean, you got to pass qualification, which is shooting at a target. But I mean, some are excellent, some aren't. It's like anything. The more you practice, the better you get at it.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, I think you know what we're talking about here with the guns, and Justin's got a really strong opinion about the recent tragedies being works and the suspects being framed, and he will gladly tell you about it for 50 minutes, but we probably don't have time for that.
No.
Justin made a lot of sense, though, but, we're all laughing, but he made some sense.
No, but I mean, whoever was just saying you can't have a knee-jerk reaction, that's 100% correct. And if you think about what happened in Connecticut was fucking terrible, absolutely terrible. What we're seeing in the country now, what nobody wants to deal with, is the wholesale deinstitutionalization of the mentally ill. Before there used to be group homes and mental hospitals and things like that. Now these drug companies have so much fucking money, they want to give these guys some prescription and send them on their way. Yeah, that's half the problem. They don't want it. But guns don't fucking kill people. People kill people.
Oh, come on, dude. But if we got over 300 million people in America, and then we already have more than one gun for every person, and we put more guns, isn't there going to be a lot more people because there's more guns dead?
But you look at this, right? I trained a kid to be a cop a couple of years ago who was the kid owned like 300 guns, which I thought was fucking crazy.
Right.
But the more I think about it, I mean, but that's his fucking deal. You got a treadmill and an elliptical machine and weights because you're into lifting weights. This fucking guy's into shooting guns. And
so he's into collecting killing machines that equalize everyone from a ninja to a fourth grader, and that's okay?
Yeah, but you're into fucking what you collect, and then no one's judging you. What the fuck? It's a free country. Everything. I'm sick and tired of the government having to regulate everything. I mean, now you can't buy a 24-ounce fucking soda in New York City because these guys are eating themselves to death. Fuck off. Mind your business.
Statistically speaking, 300 million people in this country, and how many people die from gunshots every year? And on top of that, how many people are murdered by legal gun purchasers, legal gun owners?
Very few.
That's my point.
First of all, you know what? I'm sorry. I actually am in control of this, so I can unmute myself, and I'm sorry that I did. But Officer
Can I answer a question real quick, though, and then do that? Sonia says that she heard that 900 people have died in gun-related deaths since the Newtown, Connecticut incident. Okay, go, Nikki, start.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, NPR Radio.
Hi, baby. Nice to hear you. Officer X, I love what you said about the drug companies, okay? This is what we're missing, okay? We're missing, okay, it doesn't matter if everybody has 500 guns, okay? If I had 500 guns, I would not go to Newton and shoot 20 children and 6 people, okay?
Dave DeFalco would.
Well, maybe. You might, but
would.
I'm just saying, Officer X is really getting the point. There is a deeper issue than guns. Okay, that's all.
It's mental illness, and that's what's
yes.
big. You go into a homeless shelter now. It's a bunch of people that belong in a mental institution, but they don't want to pay for it. And these drug companies, which have fucking ruined healthcare in America, I mean, that's the biggest work on the planet. Drug rate's crazy. They're if you look, you know what it is? Look, you follow the fucking money, and you can find out what the common problem is in pretty much everything.
You're so right. It really isn't the guns.
No,
I should be able to. Yes. Oh my God, I love you. You're right. Okay, I'll be quiet, but thank you for bringing that up.
No, well, the young lady, let me just say it like this. I agree with Officer X 100%. It's not the guns that are the problem. It's the people that wield the guns that's the problem. And if we take the guns out of the criminals' hands and not take them out of the hands of the people who are law abiding, who are trying to protect themselves and their families, then we're doing something. But what's happening is, like I said before, it's a knee-jerk reaction. The President of the United States wants to use an executive order to make the problem go away.
It'll never happen.
You can't.
It won't happen. He can't do it.
About this. No, he's a jackass. Because think about this for a second, right? What about all the Americans who earn their living and feed their families because they work in companies and factories that make guns and make ammunition? Those fucking people shouldn't be able to feed their families anymore?
Yeah.
Because these lunatics are going to do this shit?
Where I used to live, Officer X, correct?
Right there, yeah. There's big companies there. It just doesn't make any sense.
In New York, they got a problem because they put a law in the books now, and in that law I spoke of a moment ago, they limit the clip from 10 in a clip to 7 in a clip.
What good is that?
What's going to be next year? Go from 7 to 5?
No, but you know what it is, though? You got to realize in New York, though, New York are these fucking ultra-rich, liberal, commie fucks that just want to tell you how to do everything. I mean, you can't have a 16-ounce soda. How about have some willpower?
Officer X, you come to New York, I'll buy you a whole damn bar of drinks.
I'm in New York all the time, but I'll tell you, like, here's the other thing, right? It's like Bloomberg, instead of worrying about a guy having a 16-ounce soda, should worry about the fucking dropout rate and the teen pregnancy rate. How much does that cost?
Exactly. Wait, George, I have a question to ask you. Did you know that now, listen, and I don't know if any of you have brought this up because I really got upset and had to mute for a minute, but has anybody brought up the fact that now the doctors are going to be asking us if we own weapons? Has anybody brought that up?
Exactly. My doctor would ask me if I own a weapon. I own a weapon. It's called my two hands.
That's another problem too. Here's another problem with this shit too. These people
that are bludgeoned, stabbed, they're stabbed, they're bludgeoned, they're poisoned. There's many ways to kill people. You know, guns
Listen.
I'm a trained combat soldier. I can kill with my two hands, for Christ's sake.
Look, I almost killed somebody with a frying pan, so I know. Okay. If you're going to be that type of person, if you're going to be that type of person, you're going to find a weapon to use, whether it's a gun or not. But
there's a problem in the media right now where a woman, stabbed her boyfriend in the shower, cut him up into pieces, and how? I mean, there was no gun there. Why aren't you taking that?
No, she did too. No, she shot him in the head. There was a gun.
Yeah, she shot him after she shot him after she cut him.
A lot of this gun shit too is these cyberpunks, because a lot of people don't have balls like they used to when they can text message and email and post this stuff. They would never ever think of saying to someone's face.
Right. I agree.
You know? Hey, matter of fact, I gotta go process some guy who just got pinched with a gun. I'll see you later.
All right, thanks.
Damn it.
Well, hey, Tap-Ass, calling all the way from across the pond, but not really.
He's calling from Florida.
I know, but listen to him, man. He sounds like he's calling from England.
Right. Can you hear me?
Cheers. Yeah, and by the way, thanks for hanging on, everybody. Justin, Fonzie, Big L, George, Nikki, and, we're going a little, if you guys stay on as long or as little as you want. I don't know how much longer we'll go, but, damn, this is a really good show, though, and I don't want to hold you up, Kel or Fonzie or Justin, but, you guys that are regulars know how it goes. So if you got to go, just say goodbye, and otherwise, thank you.
I do got to go. I just want to say I love you all. I love all your opinions, and I love the freedom to have this conversation and for all of you to speak your piece.
And that's my word. USA.
Is the guy that made the comment about the fire department still on the line with us, Rob?
Yes.
I happen to be a volunteer fireman 31 years, and what you said about the response times, unless you've been a fireman, trust me when I say that happens in rare cases. I've been on fire calls where it started in the basement, and we put it out before it got to the first floor.
Listen,
it's not that simple, and it's not simple sometimes. Other conditions can hamper a response time.
No, I realize that, okay, and I have quite a few friends that are firemen here, as well as cops, okay? I was generalizing. I'm not saying listen, I don't even have a basement. My point is most of the time, by the time cops show up, it's already too late.
Damage is done.
And the damage has been done. All of these shootings, or it's just the Sandy Hook incident, all right, he could have kept killing. When he heard the cop sirens, he decided to commit suicide. He could have kept killing. And quite frankly, everybody, let's put this in a different context. Let's use a bludgeon instrument or a bladed instrument. Let's say any one of us were to walk into a school with 6 and 8 year olds and walk into a classroom with 2 knives, 2 hatchets, 2 machetes, 2 hammers, or whatever. How many kids could you kill? Okay, I honestly say probably more, simply because there would be no way of hearing it happening. You wouldn't hear the gunfire.
Wow, what a horrid thought.
Oh, my God, I'm going to be sick.
All right. Anybody. I own a 7,000-pound SUV. If I decided to go kill somebody, I could run over people. I could just keep running over people. How long would it take for the cops? When there is a will, there is going to be a way. Yes, the drugs have a lot of issue, but there have been crazy people in society, okay, ever since man started walking. You're not going to ever stop the crazy. It's not going to stop.
But when man started walking, there was only, like 12 people on the planet, so it wasn't.
Rob,
there
let me
were more
ask you
than
this.
12, plus dinosaurs, so come on, let's be real.
All right, when they started, it was just Adam. There was only one man.
All right, let me ask you this, Rob.
Okay.
All right, the incident, what I told you about earlier with the Jewish community and a father in the classroom, in every classroom with a weapon, if he would have walked in the classroom and the father would have been in there with a weapon, what do you think what do you think would have happened?
Okay, well, wait.
The father would have shot the bad guy with the gun.
I sure hope so, yeah. But let's say you're in the hallway and you're like, okay, I'm going to get off at least 3 shots before I get shot. Well, then it's a vantage point. If the guy is positioned sitting right so he can see the guy. Otherwise, you can get a few shots off before you even kick the door in as you're coming into the. I'm just saying the surprise is always going to be the best strength, and that's one of my biggest red flags that comes up when I see people that are definitely not warriors, like women that feel like while they're getting their money out of the ATM, they'd be safer with a gun in their purse that they would never get to if someone came up behind them.
Okay, so what you're saying is they shouldn't even have the chance. So you're taking their opportunity completely away from them.
Well, here's the deal. I can explain that easily because it's not that I want to take away their chance, but what I'm afraid of is those crazies because just like George said, if we could take the guns away from the crazies and put them into the law-abiding citizens' hands, that would be great. It's not an easy thing to do, but if instead we just pump out enough guns to make sure all the law-abiding citizens have one, if out of 300 million people, if we say, okay, let's say 80 million of them are adults that should have a gun and are law-abiding citizens, so let's pump out 500 million guns to make sure that it gets in the right hands, then that's the way that I see it. And I see most people as being not qualified. I think most people aren't used to any kind of physical confrontation. If you take their parking spot and if they had a gun in their possession, they would think about using it. I might be wrong. I hope I am, but I think most people could get road raged in an instant where they're like, oh man, and when they have that answer right there in the palm of their hand, here's the answer, boom, my problem's done. I think that problem is something
Okay.
We have to.
Listen,
All right.
listen,
Over 90 million legal gun owners right now in this country. So, but they're not all out murdering every day. Everybody gets
Are you watching the news?
every day.
This is why we're having this show. I mean, the guys that are doing the crime stole the guns, but from who? From somebody. I mean, the more guns you put out there, they're going to trickle down, even if we're not directly putting them into the hands of the bad guys.
Well,
and I'm just, explaining this perspective. I mean, what do I know?
I understand.
I'm afraid of that.
Well, how much of a difference would there's 300 million guns in the country now? How much would there be a difference if there were 400 million, 500 million?
There would be almost double the amount of guns. So out of those extra 200 million guns, only a percentage of them would belong to law-abiding, qualified citizens.
And I'm on my way in here.
See, the way I look at it personally is if one father, if Adam Lanza, if any of the shooters, I'm going to say any of the shooters, any of the mass shooters, I don't care if they were in a theater, I don't care if they were in a school, a mall, or anything, okay? If anybody stopped one murder, if he would have only been able to kill 19 children, it would have been better. If Adam Lanza would have only been able to, no, listen, I'm not making light of it. Don't laugh. Okay?
I'm not laughing. I'm crying.
Okay. If in the theater, in the Colorado theater shooting, if one person in the theater would have had a weapon and saved at least one life, you don't think those are odds that are better for us?
No, I absolutely do, but I don't think that putting out 500 guns so that maybe that one person in that theater would have had one, I think, and I might be wrong, but I think that it would balance out. If the one more life was saved, I'm afraid there could have been 3 more lives lost out there in the streets when those guns trickle down to irresponsible people that shouldn't have them. I think a gun is a very...
The people that are buying them, the guns that we know about are owned by legal citizens. They go out and legally buy them. They go to gun. When you go to a gun show, I don't care what they're saying on the news. When you go to a gun show, you have to fill out.
It's called a gun shows.
You have to fill out. You have to go through a NICS check. All right, just like any gun shop, any gun store, anything, anybody. You go to Dick's, you go to Walmart, you go through a NICS check.
But obviously you're not telling me that bad guys don't have guns.
Well, absolutely. They've got, for one, this has been going on for hundreds of years, okay? They've been stealing them. They've been, they get them, they steal them. They get them through not the legal, the people that are doing the crimes aren't the ones that have obtained them legally.
Because they're mental, and we need to take care of that issue.
Well, they're not all mental, okay? Well, they're not all mental.
Well, how can they not be mental if they want to shoot people?
Well,
how is that not mental?
No, listen, Chicago has the harshest gun laws in the country, and they've topped the murder rate. They've topped the kill. Okay, it's murder there, but they've actually topped Afghanistan for lives lost. Okay, over 500 a year.
But you know why? Because the gangs run the politicians and they run the police. Okay? It's a non-issue. You can't bring it up. The gangs are in control of Chicago.
Well, no, the blacks are in control of Chicago.
Okay, well, I'm not going to say that, but the gangs are. So whether they're black, white, Mexican, I don't care.
The gangs are predominantly black, okay?
I
in all
understand.
the cities, I'll say it because it's not a racist issue; it's a realist issue.
It is.
If you, in all the cities with the high crime areas, you look at Chicago, you look at Detroit, you look at DC, you look at New York. Okay,
correct.
all of those areas have strict gun laws. Okay,
except
and they have the highest. I'm sorry.
They're ignored because the gangs run the cities.
No, they're ignored because it's a black... Listen, I live in a city that's 70% black, okay? They're ignored because it's a black issue. It's a racial issue. If Whitey said anything about that, it's racist. They won't ignore it.
Okay, Tap Ass, you were about to say something a moment ago.
Okay.
What you got?
Now that everyone's fired up and I'm the only redcoat on this show, you're throwing me to the wolves?
That depends on what you have to say there, my friend.
Well, there's not much I can say that hasn't been settled. Let's put it this way. I've been watching this. I've lost friends over this issue. I've been watching the Piers Morgan debates, every single one of them, and I'm not siding with Piers Morgan as a Brit. I can understand where he's coming from. I was 25 years old when I come to America, and we don't have guns in England, and I've never even seen a gun until I come to America. So, you hear about them, you see them in movies, and you see one in real life. For someone that was 25 years old when they first saw a gun, it is intimidating. And we don't have them in our country, and we're against them, and the murder rate is low. But then, since Sandy Hook has happened...
I have friends from the UK that actively still live there, okay? And from what I understand, the murder rate's not low.
Well, I don't think England is even the UK, is it?
Lower than America.
What's the population of the UK? 1.5 million compared to 300 million? It should be lower.
I don't count. But anyway, I'm not siding, but I've changed my stance since I've heard everyone talking about the issues and everything.
Yeah,
and,
from what?
Yeah. At first I was totally against guns, but after hearing everyone's viewpoints, I can understand. Like, for example, let me tell you some of this banned, everyone knows, drugs. Drugs are banned, but there's still an underground market for drugs, and people are still going to get their hands on drugs. It's the same as guns. At first I was like, I want all guns banned. I don't think it's right. They kill. But you can ban guns, but there's going to be an underground market still. The bad guys are still going to get hold of guns, and they're going to be out there on the streets to use.
Absolutely. Well, listen to that. Look at that. Our show served purpose, educated, made somebody think, and actually formed an opinion on a Brit.
And I got another example. Like, people I've talked to people that are like, if guns kill, then spoons make you fat. Well, no, because spoons are made to eat. And then they're like, if guns kill, then someone that gets drunk behind the wheel of a car kills someone, we should ban cars. It's like, well, no, cars are made to drive, but accidents happen. Sorry, the way I see it, what was a gun made for if it wasn't made to kill?
Well, that is how I see it too, and I mean, even when I've done acting parts, I won't point a gun right at somebody. I'm just totally uncomfortable with it. I'll point it a little bit off of them. I think about Brandon Lee and how he died on The Crow, and it freaks me out. I'm not comfortable holding one. Sonia's dad had me hold one and shoot like at trees or something when I met him. He lives out on the Indian reservations, and I wanted to put him over, and say, yeah, cool, yeah, it's a nice gun, but I'm uncomfortable with it. And if you can't understand that or appreciate it at all, let me just use an extreme measurement because you got to draw a line somewhere. Imagine if you had a nuclear bomb in your hand, how scary that would be if you fucking dropped it. Boom, the whole fucking city is gone, and however much, depending on the size of the atomic energy, whatever. Obviously, that's easy to understand. Well, to me, a gun is like that on a much, much smaller scale. It's like something that I can hold that can cause so much damage, and not from me physically taking it and using my strength to bash somebody over the head with it, but just by hitting this trigger, and what's that do? It releases a spring or something. Boom! The fact that the bullet can and sometimes does, I see it on the news, go through my neighbor's house, a kid hit someone on the street, whatever. I mean, it does happen sometimes. It happens enough to where it makes me feel uncomfortable being around that. A lot of people aren't that uncomfortable with it, but the fact that I am influences my opinion that I don't want a lot of crazy, irresponsible, judgmental, irrational people having this power in their hands.
I got one more good example I want to hear everyone's viewpoint on, and that's it. When you hear guns don't kill, sick people with guns kill. Well, let's just say there's a guy, he's happily married, and he's a gun owner, and then a few years down the line, he catches his wife in bed with another guy, and then, he decides to blow her brains out, and then his neighbors are like, I don't know why he did it. He didn't seem the type. He was such a nice guy, but he had a gun in his house, and that was the answer.
I think that's still legal.
I'd go out to my garage and get a hammer and beat him in the head with it if I didn't have a gun.
You could. A 4-year-old couldn't because it's, a hammer isn't an equalizer like the gun.
Right. We're not talking about, listen, Rob, for one, I have over 500 hours of formal instruction with PSD and weapons training. Okay, I teach it.
You're good to go.
I use it, yes, but I mean, I am an advocate. I believe everybody that owns it should have formal training with it. I believe that. If you have a pistol, you should seek formal training with it. If you buy a rifle, semi-automatic, any rifle. If you want to get into the gun debate, all right, hunters, I'm going to give you a good example here, okay? Hunters, they say, I have a hunting rifle. I do not need an AR-15. We do not need them in society. Well, guess what? A hunting rifle is a sniping rifle. You can kill somebody 300 yards away. What's the difference? Okay? A shotgun, all the duck hunters, rabbit hunters, and squirrel hunters out there, all right, well, you load those things with 6 to 8 rounds for each shotgun with double-aught buck that has 9 .33 caliber bullets in each round. So you have 60 to 70, quote-unquote, bullets, rounds in every weapon. You put a side saddle on it, you have another 5 or 6 rounds. I have over 100 rounds in that shotgun. That's not a high-capacity weapon, all right? That's a duck gun. You could use these analogies for everything you speak of. And quite frankly, how many people out there that have never seen a gun, that have never heard of a gun, don't like them? And I understand where he's coming from, okay? It's misinformation. People haven't been taught properly. How many people out there have driven drunk? Will go out and have a beer, even one beer, one glass of wine, okay? They are impaired, but they drive.
Right.
All right. They've done multitudes of studies before. Children that are taught, and I mean children, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, that are taught what guns are, do not play with. They're taught by their parents, okay, and then they are left alone with them. And then the ones that are not taught, what they are and how dangerous they can be, are the ones that are playing with them. The ones that are taught are the ones that say, "Put that down," and they go get the teacher.
Yeah,
the problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine in college that lives out in Denver. He's been teaching his kids since they were just old enough to walk. And well, that's what he says anyway. I know it may be a slight exaggeration on his part, but he has been teaching his kids about gun safety since they were very young, and he has impressed upon them the importance of never ever picking up the weapon and thinking it's a toy, because it's a very, very powerful weapon, and it can hurt or even kill someone. And this guy did not mince words. His kids, they see the guns in the house, they know they're there, they stay away from them, because he has done that much with them to make sure they understand. But not all gun owners, I hate to say this, not all gun owners do that with their kids, and that's the sad reality.
No, most gun owners don't. You're correct. Well, it's just like driving a car. When you learn to drive, when you get your driver's license at 16, are you a better driver at 16, or are you a better driver at 26 after you've been driving for 10 years?
26.
Well, exactly.
I can't answer that question too well, because I didn't get my license until I was 31.
Well, all right.
I'm not kidding either. I waited that long because I didn't trust.
Oh my God!
Well, yeah. My point is the more training you get with it, and the more you're around them, the more comfortable you're going to be with them. And Rob, you're no different. You haven't been taught properly, okay? If you were taught and somebody spent some time with you, you would feel comfortable around them, and you would feel comfortable using them.
I suppose that could probably be true with anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so it sounds like
across the board, women make better students than men, and women are more intimidated at first, especially with the semi-automatic handguns. Okay, what I tell them is, I say, listen. And most women nowadays, if they're over 21 years old, they have a child, okay, especially a middle-aged woman. What I tell them is, you know how to drive a car? Yes, absolutely. I've been driving for how many years? All right. Do you have a child? Yes, sure. Okay. They can drive a car, play with the kid in the back, put makeup on in the rearview mirror, and change a radio station all at the same time. But they can't learn how to manipulate a weapon. Of course not. That's ridiculous. Sure they can.
Wait, I'm fixing to hang up because y'all are making me ill, but I just do want to say one thing, okay? This is Nikki, by the way. And this show has been the best show Rob's ever done. So if you have a chance to like Twitter it or Facebook it, please do. I just did. But I don't own a weapon. However, I would like to tell you that I am dead on with an AR-15. That's all I have to say. I am.
Bye, Nikki. We love you.
Good talking with you, Nikki.
I love you, Fonzie. George, you've been fantastic. Mr. Tapass, I adore you. And,
Thank you.
yeah, it's late here, so I love you guys. And if you keep going, that's fine. But please definitely promote the show because this show has been fantastic. Thank you, guys.
I'm going to promote Rob's show on my show because I always spotlight different shows from time to time. And Rob, anytime you have an opportunity, you're welcome to come to my show anytime you want. You have an open invitation. And bring as many friends as you want.
Appreciate the hell out of that very much. And thanks for all your input.
Congratulations on the X Division Championship, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Finally, we got a champion we can really be proud of.
Yeah, I don't know how long it'll last, but I don't see an end in sight. I can tell you that.
I don't see an end in sight either. You're too damn good. Hey, you're the whole,
that's what I keep telling them.
Show. That's it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Now we'll talk to you soon.
What's that, Daddy?
I'm tapping out. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say bye to Al and Tapass, and then see if you had any thing you wanted to say since you didn't get as much time to talk. But yeah, me and you had sat back and let the experts talk a lot tonight. But wow, yeah, I love that Nikki said it was our best show ever. I did one recently that a few people said was the best show ever when we were talking about coincidences and shit. So that's good. We don't do it often, but we like to do it right. You got anything to plug, Fonzie Daddy?
Yeah, March 3rd, I'm in Canada doing a big show, big reunion show up there where we had that show. Remember we went up to Canada for ECW? And so
yep, Toronto?
Yeah.
We did. Show. Cool. You got a website or you on Twitter or Facebook or anything?
I'll get hold of you and give you all that info.
Okay, cool.
When's your next show?
Actually Friday. I got to leave tomorrow. Friday I'm in Florida doing TV at Universal, and then we head to the UK, and I'll be gone till the end of the month.
All right, Daddy. Be careful.
Okay, cool. Love you, Daddy. Thanks for coming on.
Don't take any guns to the airport. You get busted.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to deal with the TSA with that. No.
That was it. Still managing my shit, Fonzie, after all these years. Appreciate it. Yeah, cool. Tapass, anything to plug?
Not really. I was just surprised you didn't play the sound effect where you get the gunshot and then Samuel Jackson goes, "I'm sorry, did I break your concentration?"
Oh, that's awesome. Do I even have that? I really got to update these fucking sound effects.
You needed that sound effect during this show.
Not even. It's not on our fucking on our new ones anymore. Anyway, but yeah. All right, cool. But thanks for joining.
Yeah,
and,
awesome show. Definitely the best.
Awesome. Yeah, I enjoy it too. And Big Al, man, huge help, man. I didn't mean to keep you on this long, but I hope you don't mind because
I very much enjoyed it, buddy.
Cool, man. Lots of people will be listening and learning, and it's a great conversation. We all learn. How could we fucking not learn just from hearing everybody's different takes on it and shit? You know, it seems like there's not like an obvious answer. Like Nikki said, it's not black and white, but it does seem like it's in the education, and I think that's something that we all agree on. And that's usually the answer to most problems. A lot of shit's in the misinformation or lack of education, and
Rob,
maybe
what do we do when we want to teach someone to read, or when we want to teach them math or science? We send them to school.
Right.
That's how we learn. It's the same thing with guns, okay? You have to educate people. You have to educate them not to be afraid. You have to educate them how to use them, how to properly use them, and how to protect themselves. It's every citizen's right to be able to protect themselves. If they want that right, they should have it. But trust me, people do not believe. A full-grown man can travel 20 feet in 1.5 seconds. As you said, for most people, they can't draw and fire that fast. But it still gives them an opportunity to at least have protection on them.
Right. And the question is that the silver lining on the fact that there's a bunch of crazies out there maybe if we're not tougher on gun laws?
Well, how about gun crime? Why not be tougher on gun crime? If you use a gun in a crime, you're going to jail for a very, very long time. Why displace the good citizens trying to protect themselves? You can commit murder. It's a state offense, okay, and go to jail for 7 years for murder. All right, does that sound right? That doesn't sound right to me.
Fuck no. No, and also if you point a gun at me, I mean, I feel like my life is at risk. You're taking the risk that you might pull that trigger. I think that's I don't know if it's attempted murder, but it sure feels like it. Just imagining. I haven't had a gun pointed at me, but I would imagine if someone does that, I feel like my life is in their hands at that moment. It would be a very uncomfortable feeling, just as if they shot.
But cities now,
after I got out of the military, I got shot at twice.
Yes,
Trust me, it ain't no fun.
Yeah, I've been involved in a shooting here as well. Okay, they do not call it attempted murder. They call it aggravated battery, aggravated assault, depending on how bad it is.
Yeah,
all right, because they do not want the true crime statistics actually being put out.
Right, I believe that too. Now, is that an NRA money lobbyist? Elitist fucking kind of control thing that stops the true stats from being out there?
No, absolutely not. That's the cities themselves. That's the city council. That's the city government, city and state governments that do that. The NRA has nothing to do with that.
Okay.
It's not. Listen, there are about 3 million active NRA members right now. If all 90 million gun owners that spouted off about owning their gun and you're going to pry the gun from my cold dead fingers and all that. Okay, if they actually bucked up and spent the $35 a year and became an NRA member, how much power would the government would the president have? Okay, if 90 million people were members of the NRA. Basically, a little 25% of the country. This wouldn't even be an issue. And like I said, these shootings, yes, it's bad. Okay, 900 people killed. 900 people killed with guns in this country since the shooting in a month. 34 days, I think. 35 days.
Right.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
That sounds like a way too high a number for a 35-day period. I can safely say that if
it does, doesn't it?
900 plus people were murdered in 35 days, then we somebody's screwing up somewhere.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe that.
I don't know. I think here in LA we probably have at least one murder a day, probably maybe more, like in the bad parts of town and stuff. But I don't think we have 900 cities like that. I don't know. That does seem high. You're right. I didn't even. I was just repeating.
I live 75, 80 miles away from New York City. Okay,
yeah.
and right in the 5 boroughs, including Manhattan, they have at least one murder. Probably not every day, but at least every other day or so.
Yeah, a city of 8 million people.
Exactly. So you're looking at a very small percentage out of 8 million plus people.
Chicago, 500 murders a year. So basically 1.5 murders per day. Okay, of a city of how many millions? Okay, I mean L.A., one of the worst gang-related, and they're gang-related. How can people mix up these gang-related? I don't give a flying fuck if these thugs are killing themselves. I'll supply the ammo, okay? I don't care, because they're killing each other with non-legal guns to begin with. They don't go out and legally purchase them. They don't legally own them.
Well, it goes right back to what I said earlier on. They're getting their guns through illegal means. They're going to these guys are selling guns and shit out of the back of their fucking trucks, vans, and cars nationwide. I mean, it happens every day. And what ties the hands of law enforcement is the fact that the politicians are more concerned about the legal gun owners than they are the fucking criminals doing that shit on the streets.
Yes.
So, but I mean, it's in like Al said, in higher punishments. Going after the criminals, enforcing the laws that we already have. I mean, does that seem like that's more of the solution for solving this problem?
If they enforce the laws that are on the books, Rob, that are currently on the books, rather than go out and write more laws and more laws. I mean, if they can't enforce the laws that are currently on the books, what makes them think they're going to be able to enforce the laws that they start creating left and right?
Well, to begin with, there's a law in this country to put every United States citizen in jail. They just don't enforce them.
The Patriots Act, right?
No, I'm talking about, listen, sodomy's illegal, okay? I mean, how many guys have sex with other dudes or their wives? That's illegal, all right?
Right.
I mean, oral sex is illegal in certain areas. I mean, there's a lot of shit that's illegal. You know, they don't enforce it, obviously.
Marijuana is illegal in some states, I've heard.
Listen.
But fellas, we're talking about weapons here. We're talking about guns, and you know, and especially with the guns in the hands of criminals. If they can't enforce the laws that are on the books, you know, to stop criminals from obtaining guns and shit like that, how the fuck do they expect to enforce the laws that they're writing now? Seriously, think about
it. That's a damn good point.
They can't enforce any law. There's a law against speeding too, but who doesn't speed on the highway?
Yeah, I make that point a lot to people that
basically there is no honor amongst criminals. A criminal is going to use anything to get what they want from you. So basically, what people want is an equalizer.
Hey,
when you're driving down the highway, by the way, and then you see a cop, if the first thing you do is automatically tap your brakes, you're probably a lawbreaker.
Yeah, no, the first thing I do when I see a cop in my rearview mirror is just sit there and go, oh, okay, fine. He's just sitting there. As long as he doesn't turn on that bubblegum machine, I'm fine. Shit,
right.
Turned on those fucking lights. I'm screwed.
Hey, is Justin still around?
No, Justin has left, and Officer X and Fonzie have left. It's just
you tell Justin if he ever makes it to the East Coast, he's got a free training session with me.
Okay, cool. I will tell him. Do you have anything else to plug, El? Anything?
No, I know you're ready to get off because you got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't know if you have any. No, you don't have any Twitter or Facebook or anything you want to get out there for people listening or people that want to talk to you about this, or not really?
I got some of the plug.
Al Smith, Facebook. If you want to send me one, Al Smith. I'll see if we have. You know, I don't deal with liberals on my page and anti-gun nuts, so they won't laugh at me.
Yeah, you're like Joe. I'm sure.
Bravo.
Of course. Yeah, that's awesome.
I like this guy.
Yeah, well, George, where can we find your radio talk show?
You can find my talk show right here on blogtalkradio.com/FirefoxNews-online, and I'm here every Saturday, Sunday, and Monday night, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific.
Awesome. All right, cool,
and
man.
I do off-night too, so.
Yeah, what was that?
I also do off-night broadcasts too, especially if there's a topic that really needs to be covered.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Let's have RVD on there sometime, and definitely appreciate your input. This was a really good show. A lot of people will listen to it over the next several weeks before I make it around to doing another show.
Hey, before you blaze a trail, I got one question for you.
Okay.
How the heck can I get involved in TNA? Seriously?
Oh my God, dude! I wish I had an answer. I'd have all my friends hooked up. I don't know. You know, you email them, I guess, and they go through a regular hiring system.
Yeah, because I tried the other jerkwater organization, and you know what they told me?
Oh.
Not a chance.
What do you want to do?
Referee, to start off. I mean,
yeah, it's totally really, really not easy. But they have training facilities in somewhere there in Orlando. The Dudleys have a school. I don't know. There's schools. There's wrestling schools. Referees actually go to wrestling schools too, and as do managers and valets, and they learn all about the business. Then you got to be really qualified before you get a deal with someone that's on TV or something like that. But good luck with that, and that's it. It's nowadays you do everything on the internet. Way back in the day, I sent away for I was ad in a wrestling magazine, and I sent away like $5, and they sent me this list of a whole bunch of wrestling schools, and I wrote to all of them, and then the ones that wrote back, I called them and did all this work. Now you just Google, hey, where's the nearest wrestling school to me? Oh, there's one 4 blocks away. Doesn't mean they're all good, but, check them out and see what's up with them. But anyway, hopefully between now and when I do the next RVD radio episode, hopefully there won't be very many, if any, horror stories in the news involving more crazy people killing each other with guns, whether in mass numbers or even the smaller numbers. I mean, it's not likely that we'll be completely free of that, but we've covered a high profile.
Rob,
event.
we'll never be completely free of it, but how many mass car wrecks do we have?
We have a lot. I can't give you a number on that.
Right, I know that's my point. But every time there's bad weather or something, there's a 20-car pileup on a highway with people dead.
We just had a three car accident earlier in the day. Where I live in Dutchess County, the roads got real icy, and 3 people ended up smacking into each other. Thank God no one was hurt, but people need to learn to use common sense. If the roads are icy, stay the hell home.
Yep, operating one of those machines is dangerous as well, although like Tapas said, that wasn't made for killing necessarily, whereas a gun...
listen, I'm almost 19 years sober, and I drove one time under the influence, and I thank God every day I didn't use my vehicle as a projectile, because it could have ended far worse.
Absolutely, yeah. So be careful out there, everybody. And thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up right now, and we'll try and do it again in the not-too-distant future. Excellent show. Thanks, Big Al.
Friday. I'll be back.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And thanks, Tapas. Thanks, Fonzie, and Greg.
Good night.
Everybody, have an awesome night.
Violence